Hello and welcome to the Verity channel, where our aim is to introduce you to amazing humans who have achieved uncommon results, and to do so in a way that makes perfect sense to all of us, so that we can also emulate those steps in our own careers and also in our own lives. Now, today's interview is actually filmed in front of 150 of Brisbane's finest company owners and executives. And during the interview, we feature our very own Brisbane Lord Mayor, Adrian Schrinner. Adrian has been with the Brisbane City Council for over 16 years, and during that time has held a staggering 11 different positions. This also included being elected as Brisbane's youngest deputy mayor at the age of 33, before being elected to Brisbane's Lord Mayor position in 2019, where today he looks after over 1.25 million Brisbane residents. Today's interview is done in 3 parts. During the first, we will talk about previous, current and future projects, and we'll even share with you Adrian's most favourite initiative during his time as Lord Mayor. The second interview will then go into the 2032 Olympics, and we'll talk a bit more in detail about what to expect over the coming weeks, months and years. History will also say that Adrian was the Lord Mayor when Brisbane was awarded the 2032 Olympics, another historical moment for both us and for him in his career. And then finally, we'll talk about the e-mobility strategy that was released from the Lord Mayor's office, which is not only the first of its kind in Australia, but also in the world. So thank you for watching the video, and if you do find value out of it, remember to like and share the content with others also. So without further ado, here's the interview with our very own Brisbane Lord Mayor, Adrian Schrinner. Welcome your own Lord Mayor, Mr. Adrian Schrinner. So the plan was to go from here straight into a question about one of the projects you've completed, but obviously I read some interesting information there about your children's habits, shall we say? So can you tell us a bit more about home life, and you mentioned about the bottom singing and so on and so forth. Anything interesting you can share with us?
Probably the most interesting thing is actually Nina and my children's names, which are a little bit different. We had one aim when we named the kids, and that was to make sure that there was nobody else in their class with the same name. And so our daughter is Octavia, then we had Wolfgang, then we had Monash, named after General Monash, and then finally Petra. So I think we achieved that goal. When we went to get the birth certificate from the registry office, the lady said, "Oh, I haven't seen too many Octavias," so she did a search. And in the history of Queensland, apparently there had only been 70 Octavias. So, yeah, mission accomplished, I think. But,
well, I don't know if it's coincidental, 17th Lord Mayor and 17 names.
Oh, no, 70.
Oh, 70,
yeah,
sorry. No coincidence then. No, that's fantastic. I was going to ask, so what's the interest in flying? Where did that come from?
I've always had it since I was a kid, and so my career ambition was always, as a teenager, to be an Air Force pilot. I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect that came from watching Top Gun as a kid. And Top Gun 2 is coming out so next year, I think it is. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Mate looks very excited about it, so the three of us can go watch it together, and then we can post it on Facebook afterwards.
So when I was 13, I joined the Air Force Cadets, and a big part of that attraction was because they had a flying program. So you could be in school, learn to fly through the Air Cadets, and that's exactly what I did. The way I funded that was through working in the family business. So we had a family small cleaning business, and in the school holidays, worked in the business to pay for the flying lessons.
I must admit, and I've got to get into the first question. None of these are on the list, by the way. But if you don't mind indulging us, I didn't realise that your dad's from Germany. You said before, yeah.
Yeah. So
does that ever play in the children's names as well?
A little bit. Like, for example, Wolfgang, or as if you, but if you're German, you say Wolfgang. So yeah, that was a bit of a tribute to Dad's heritage. Yeah, he came out to Australia in 1960, in his early 20s, and literally to this day, he's 84 now, and you know, he's still very active. He speaks with a very strong German accent, so he hasn't lost it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, There's a lot of people in construction here today, and I'll mention that a few times as we go through the questions. So I therefore touched on some of the projects your council has successfully completed. Is there a standout or a favourite one amongst all of that? Because I was thinking you're probably going to be diplomatic and say, oh no, it's like your children, right? I don't love one more than the other, but is there?
Yeah, look, there is actually. It is actually, in one of my previous roles in council, I was given carriage of trying to take a very degraded and run-down part of the city and turn it into something special. And so at the time, I think it was Campbell Newman that gave me that job when he was Lord Mayor, and the precinct is amazing today, and it's actually Howard Smith Wharves. So that land was handed over to council by the state government, and it was given to us for free. Now, you know there's always a catch when something's given to you for free. So it had all of these old heritage buildings on it that were run down. There was a lot of issues with it, and the state government didn't want to do the work in terms of fixing up the buildings, so they said, here, you take this. And we could see the great potential of that site, because if you think about it, some of the great things about Brisbane are right there at your doorstep. You've got the Story Bridge right there, you've got the city skyline, the river in front of you, you've got the cliffs behind you. It's just an iconic part of the city. So we could imagine what it could be like, but there was a lot of work to do. And literally, it took almost 10 years to get that project up and running, but you know, look at it today, it's one of the most popular parts of the city. And part of that work that we did there was also rebuilding the New Farm Riverwalk after it got washed away in the 2011 flood. So that was critical work as well. So that precinct, every time I see it, I feel a great sense of pride that I was involved in that project, because it's fantastic for the city.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good one to choose. I would say, I'm not going to ask you to show your hands, because I'm dead sure that every single person in this room has been there at least once. Is that fair to say? And it's really nice to hear you say that, because a number of times, having lived in Brisbane for about 15 years now, myself, my wife have looked across the bridge driving through and gone, geez, that's a wasted space, isn't it? So, no, congratulations on that. It's fantastic. Thinking and sticking to the whole project theme, there are a number of private sector projects that are coming up, or at least underway, and the completion of those projects around the city won't only benefit us as residents, but also obviously attract more tourism, and then also serve us very well in the lead up to the Olympics. So sort of shifting the thought and focus in terms of future projects, are there any sort of standout private sector projects that are underway that you're quite excited about?
Oh, there's a lot. There's so much happening at the moment. Obviously, one of the most high-profile ones is the Queen's Wharf Brisbane project, which you know, there's something like 9 or 10 cranes just on that site at the moment. That project, can I see a show of hands? Has anyone been to Singapore here and been to Marina Bay Sands and seen like the way that precinct came along? I think the ethos behind it is just similar to what they achieved in Singapore with Marina Bay Sands, just an integrated resort that'll bring a lot of tourists in, and the business model for that is bringing people from overseas to come here. You know, it's not a matter of just giving Brisbane a bigger casino. You know, probably not necessarily the best thing for our community if it was just Brisbane residents, but you've got a business model based on bringing literally plane loads of people in once we can travel again from all around the world, and provide them an integrated Brisbane experience. So they can stay in the building there. There'll be lots of restaurants and bars. There'll be live shows on like you'd see in Vegas or other large integrated resorts. And then opportunity for travel around the region as well. So day trips out to various destinations around southeast Queensland. So that's really exciting. And that is all private investment. So over $3 billion of private investment being made in our city. And that's a really big vote of confidence in the city. You've also got a number of government projects underway at the moment, Cross River Rail, Brisbane Metro, new bridges that are really exciting. So these are all happening now and gearing up. And I'm also excited about the next wave of projects that will be linked to the Olympics as well. So there's a lot of exciting things happening, but I think it all shows a sign of confidence in our city and in the future of our city. It's, you know, that C word is really important for our city, and so many cities at the moment, they're just sort of wondering what will happen after the pandemic, what their city will look like. Whereas we've got this great, decade ahead of us to the Olympics, and then another great decade after the Olympics as well.